Hey guys, what is going on? Alex here, back for another video. So today's video, I've got a top 10 countdown, and this top 10 is going to be a top 10 cards hit due to other archetypes and decks. Now, this is a pretty much a weird one. If you guys can hear firstly, I've been a bit sick, so that's why my voice is a bit weird. But overall, this video is to do with cards that have been hit on the ban list from certain archetypes due to them being abused. Now, they will go through a rule. The rule set are the cards must be from an archetype, must be abused in a different way so the archetype was meant to be used in the first place, must be used unintentionally, must be hard to balance, and overall just broken. So let's go straight into the video. Coming in at number 10, we have Magispector Unicorn Kirin, archetype Magispectors. This reign of this card was overall just ridiculous. It was used in literally every single Pendulum deck, which is why it's on the list. The effect is so generic, but definitely insanely broken. The card can't be targeted and can't be destroyed by card effects, which is just absolutely ridiculous. It's a quick effect rather than it just being just a like a normal effect. It's just having cards at spell speed 2 are just ridiculous, and especially when it can't be targeted. Pendulum summoning then before Mastery Rule 4 was just ridiculous. This card was just all over the place and in every single Pendulum deck. If you didn't have this card in your deck, then you were smoking something. Metal Foes were at their time this was pretty much their win condition. Forget Mithrilium, forget everything else. This card was the problem, which is why it's here at number 10. Coming in at number 9, we have Denglong, First of the Yangzing, archetype Yangzings. Whew, this card's got a history, but after True King of All Calamities came out, this card's abusage was all over the place. If VFD never existed, personally, Denglong wouldn't exist. But personally, Denglong would still be on the wouldn't be on the back with Calamities not existing. Denglong pretty much would just be a fine card. But if it came back, then it pretty much will create a VFD turbo, and overall will just be a complete mess. Well, Yangzings and Dinosaur Yangzing actually won the world championship. VFD pretty much used in every single deck at that time. There were mirror matches all over the place. If you watch that 2017 World Championship, you'll know and just see how much of a laugh it was. It was an absolute ridiculous time of Yu-Gi-Oh! And at that time, Zodiacs were all over the place. But when Zodiacs died, well, they died for World Championships, you could really see which card was the main problem. You hit Zodiac, and all of a sudden, True King Turbo True King of All Calamity Turbo just gets introduced. Number 8 goes to Elemental Hero Stratos and Destiny Draw. Now, these two cards I wanted to put together for a reason. Elemental Hero Stratos, and it was either going to be Stratos or Destiny here, Destiny Draw. They're both abused by one deck altogether, which is Teledad, arguably one of the best decks to ever exist. Stratos and Destiny Draw just had the synergy together. Stratos searches malicious, and then you use Destiny Draw to discard and draw 2. The engine was overall ridiculous because this began your plays, and you already started off with cards on the field. Dark Arm Dragon was at the time was at 3 and was by far one of the most overpowered, ridiculous cards to ever exist at Yu-Gi-Oh! In fact, a lot of the time, cards of the Dark Arm Dragon would even scale up to about £150 a piece, which is absolutely ridiculous for one card. Stratos' effect not being a hard once per turn and Destiny Draw also not being a hard once per turn created one of the greatest draw power engines to ever exist. And draw power back then was quite rare, with Pot of Greed being still banned, obviously. Upstart Goblin was at 3, but pretty much quite underused. This archetype was just abusing these two quite a lot. Stratos was pretty much one of the most surprising ones at the time. Destiny Draw wasn't, but Stratos' ban was literally through the roof, which is really why I'm focusing on Stratos here. I felt sorry for Stratos because the fact that these decks, the Dark Arm Dragon decks, were just pretty much just all over the place. If you didn't have Dark Arm Dragon in your deck, you were pretty much struggling. Heroes and Destiny Heroes, I kind of class them near together, but these two fan favorite decks were just pretty much in the bad. They were all over the place afterwards. Coming in at number 7, we have Psyframe Lord Omega, archetype Psyframe. Psyframe Lord Omega, notoriously known to be the greatest synchro monster to ever exist in Yu-Gi-Oh! This card has created tons and tons and tons of loops galore, and loops as in ripping every single card out of your opponent's hand, but Cyframes overall just banish cards everywhere. After the release of Junk Speeder, Konami sort of realized how many loops that people can make with just one with Omega. Even with one Omega, you can still somewhat rip out all cards of your opponent in your opponent's hand. It might be quite inconsistent, but it's still possible. But this card has been a problem for a while, and was actually a problem in the OCG before it got limited there, way before we limited it. The archetype overall is just pretty niche and is a stun archetype that is mainly there just to frustrate your opponent. I mean, sure, it has abusable cards in there like Driver and Gamma, but it isn't exactly to the extent where it's broken. Cyframe Lord Omega just is. It's got amazing utility, and ripping cards out of your opponent's hand, even just to get information on what deck they're playing, is borderline just idiotic. Coming in at number 6, we have Rekindling, Archetype Volcanics. What people don't actually know is Rekindling was intended for Volcanics in the first place. The Volcanics in, I believe, 2007 or 2008 were just not used. The archetype wasn't exactly bad, it was just not really meta defining. But Fire Fist, on the other hand, were. Leopard and Spirit both having 200 attack points just created a free special summon of every single one that you can have. Spirit actually was so good that it was actually limited on the list for a while. Leopard was just a searcher of fire formation card, which was pretty much just the reason for why it was just as powerful as Spirit. In fact, people were complaining about Leopard and Spirit at the same time on which one needed to be hit. Of course, Konami hit the right one, but this card was just used in the wrong way. It was pretty much just like a Soul Charge, but for Fire Fists at the time. I mean, Volcanics were using it, but it wasn't exactly that good for them. Coming in at number 5, we have True King Lithosogym, the Disaster, Archetype True Kings. Oh boy, does this card have a history. Pretty much seen to be known as the best True King monster, abused by dinosaurs to the extent where, well, you guys know, it was just banned out. Dinosaurs were pretty much just abusing this card pretty much so heavily it was ridiculous. Babies, if you pop them in your hand using Lithosogym's effect, you basically special summon 2 dinosaurs from your deck. It was a pile of piss to use and a frustration gain for a Konami. I felt bad for this card. Really, I thought it could have been limited, but when you read the effect of banishing 3 monsters from your opponent's extra deck, you see how ridiculous this is. Not only is this making going first ridiculous, because that way you get the opportunity to get info on what your opponent's playing, but you take out so many resources. Imagine playing against Zodiac, ripping out every single copy of the important Zodiac monsters was just so unfortunate. Baby Cerosaurus and Petit Pterodon are both the culprits for why this card got banned. The other True King cards are pretty niche, but still there in the and just not on the ban list. I feel pretty bad for this card, but overall it's a powerful card to the extent where it should be banned. Coming in at number 4, we have Speedroid Terratop and MX Saber Invoker, Archetype Speedroids and Archetypes X Sabers. These 2 cards I put together at the same time because they are known to be some of the most abusable cards to ever exist in Yu-Gi-Oh! Speedroid Terratop being a free special summon and pretty much an instant rank 3 was just insane, and at the time when it first came out, Dante Traveler of the Burning Abyss was abusing it the most in Burning Abyss, and MX Saber Invoker on the release of Zodiac was being overused. I put these 2 together only because Terratop would summon Invoker, and that's how it started. It was a free Beast Warrior special summon, and in Zodiac that was insane. Use Speedroid Terratop to summon Invoker, and then all of a sudden Invoker will help you go into like your Broad Ball plays, into every single Zodiac plays without even using your normal summon was overall just ridiculous. Imagine that one card can start off ridiculous plays. Don't think anyone else has heard of that. But these cards overall are now on the list, Invoker being banned due to the abusage that Goki showed during the World Championship and over Link format. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And Terratop, due to Link spam, in my opinion, will still remain on the list, but his abuse of just making rank 3s instantly is just ridiculous. Are X Sabers playable still? Of course. Are Speedroys still playable? Of course. They can actually search this card. But in Zodiac's case and Goki's case, they're not exactly as good as they were. Coming in at number 3, we have Blackwing Go Through the Vague Shadow, Archetype Blackwings. On the release of this card, people knew the card was good, but didn't exactly realize how broken it could be. Link format really proved how important tokens are. These tokens can't be used for synchro summoning, nor can they be tributed, but they can be used for link summoning. We've got cards like Galaxy Tomahawk banned for the token spam, and this is basically, at the time, was pretty much a free link deco talker. In the beginning, the card was pretty good. I mean, it was just helping cards decks go into deco talker, which at the time was the most important link monster considering how bad the other ones were. But Konami do something which is called creating new cards, and when you create new cards, you can create them to the extent where they can be so broken. Example, Firewall Dragon, Helix, and even Gumblar. And if this card was still around, it would be pretty dangerous. I feel sorry for Blackwings because, to be fair, all they wanted to do was just special summon a Blackwing Synchro from the graveyard. But hey, that's what happens. At number 2, we have Brilliant Fusion, Archetype Gem Knights. Now, this is pretty much one of the most abusable engines to ever exist. Yeah, in fact, it was used in 60 card decks, Monarchs, and pretty much any deck that needed to use it, get a second summon, and even sending just a light monster to the graveyard. Well, Konami had their final call at the end, and of course limited the card and the ban list that we are currently playing on, due to Thunder Dragons just being abusing it to the extent where it shouldn't be used. In fact, before Brilliant Fusion, Thunder Dragons, the card was only really used to summon Seraphonite. It's now used to summon, I can't remember what its name is, but it's a completely different card. But it's just abused in the sense that, it just shouldn't be used. It's now limited, so I guess it's still usable if you play the plant engine, but it's not exactly as consistent. It's very prone to cards like Ash Blossom, and overall just isn't really as good as it is. The cards aren't really used now anyway, but it's still playable. But I feel sorry for the card, really, because it was just overall quite a balanced card before Thunders came out. I mean, the card was abused, but it wasn't exactly to the extent where it was ridiculously broken. Coming in at number 1, if you guys haven't predicted which one it is, then yeah. Anyway, number 1 goes to Dragon's Ravine, Archetype Dragoonity. Notoriously known for one of the most broken, unfair archetypes to ever exist. Dragon rulers were abusing this ridiculously. And to be fair, I feel so bad for this deck. Dragoonity was overall just seemed to be pretty much a very fair deck. I mean, the deck was topping, but it wasn't exactly ridiculous. Dragon's Ravine was banned instantly after the Dragon Rulers came out, and really was just so unfortunate. The card was banned, and after it took about over a year before the card came back, Dragoonity was just dead. It got power crept so heavily that the deck was playable, just not really good. And of course, now due to Link format coming out, Dragoonity just isn't really that good altogether. The Dragon Rulers really showed how powerful this card could be until we realized how stupid the archetype overall was. One card, you basically were playing 12 copies of the exact same card. They had pretty much the exact same effect. They wanted to be banished, and they did exactly that. Dragon's Ravine was at the time seen as one of the most broken field spells and was banned. It's now back, obviously, and it's still a very powerful card. In fact, it's used in multiple decks. But Dragon Rulers just really showed its true potential and was banned for a long, long time. I feel sorry for it, and I just feel sorry for Dragoonities, but at the time it was the right thing to do. Well, until you ban the Dragon Rulers. Anyway, that's it for this top 10 countdown. If you enjoy this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you want to. Anyway, my name is Alex, and I'll catch you guys later. Au revoir.